All right, let's dive in. You can't open a browser these days without seeing a headline about AI, right? But here's the thing. For all the talk about algorithms and data, the real success of AI in any company comes down to something much more basic: the people. The actual human beings who have to use it every day. So today, we're going to peel back the tech hype and look at the human side of AI.
Okay, so to kick things off, get a load of this number: 80%. According to researchers at Vance and Born, a whopping 80% of companies are chasing something called hyper-automation. So what does that even mean? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like: automating everything. Any business process that can be automated will be. It's this massive, full steam ahead race for ultimate efficiency.
Which brings us to the big, flashing question at the heart of all this. In this mad dash to automate, what happens to the people, the actual employees? Because, let's be honest, way too often, these huge tech rollouts happen from the top down, with almost zero input from the very people whose jobs and, let's be real, whose entire work lives are about to get turned upside down.
And when that happens, when people are left out of the loop, AI stops being a helpful tool and starts becoming a problem. It can actually drive a huge wedge right through an organization. And it turns out, this feeling of alienation, it shows up in three really specific ways.
First up, a total loss of autonomy. I mean, think about it. When you feel like you have zero control over the tools you're supposed to use, when some black box algorithm is making decisions and you have no idea why, you just check out. You become cynical, you lose motivation. It's like you're just a passenger in your own job.
This quote just hits it perfectly. Okay, picture this. You work at a bank. A colleague comes to you for a credit card. You type in their info and computer says no. They ask you why and you just have to shrug. You have no idea. You're completely powerless. That's a real story. And the employee who said this, he felt totally useless. The result? Awful customer service and a lost customer for the bank. That right there is the real-world cost of losing your autonomy.
The second way this goes wrong is pretty simple. It's a lack of understanding that leads to resistance. It's just human nature, right? We tend to push back against things we don't get. We are literally wired to trust advice from another person over a machine. So if you don't bring people along and help them understand, they're going to resist the AI even if it's technically better.
And sometimes that resistance gets very loud. Just look at what happened in some Amazon warehouses. Workers were being managed by an AI, constantly pushed by algorithms to hit insane targets with barely any time for a break. They felt dehumanized. And so they protested with this incredibly powerful slogan. It's a really stark reminder. If you treat people like cogs in a machine, they will absolutely push back.
Okay, the third one is a little sneakier, but it can be just as destructive. It's the creation of business silos. Basically, the way you roll out AI can accidentally build walls between your teams, or make existing walls even higher.
So how does this happen? Well, first, all the deep AI know-how gets trapped in the tech department. So teams like marketing or HR are left in the dark. Then data ownership becomes this huge fight. That's my data. People stop sharing. And then you get this divide where some teams feel threatened by AI while others see it as a huge plus. Before you know it, collaboration grinds to a halt, which, completely defeats the purpose of having this amazing shared technology in the first place. Okay, so we've laid out the problems. It sounds a bit grim, right? But what's the solution? The good news is it's not about slamming the brakes on technology. It's about changing how we lead. There's a whole playbook for doing this right, for bringing in AI in a way that actually empowers people and gets better results. Let's get into it.
And it all boils down to 4 key practices. 1. Create space for social connection. 2. Make tech and non-tech teams collaborate. 3. Continuously develop leadership skills. And 4. Reward workers for being human. For now, we're going to focus on those first 2 because they really are the foundation for everything else.
So, let's talk about that first one, fostering social connection. This might sound a little touchy-feely, but it's critical. Staring at a screen and interacting with an algorithm all day can be really, really isolating. So as a leader, you have to actively fight that. You have to intentionally create chances for people to connect with other people. This isn't just a nice to have. It is a core business strategy.
And for a perfect example of this in action, look at the dairy company, Land O'Lakes. When they started rolling out AI, what was their #1 priority? Talking to their people. The leadership team made sure to have weekly check-ins with every single part of the business. And the point wasn't to talk about the tech. It was to listen to people's worries and ideas. They kept repeating the message: this tech is a tool to help you. And that relentless focus on people is exactly why their transformation was such a success.
All right, practice number 2. This is all about actively smashing those silos we mentioned earlier. It means you have to build teams that mix everyone together. You get your business experts, the people who really know the customer, in the same room as your tech experts. They need to be working side by side, day in and day out, on the exact same problems.
CNH Industrial is a fantastic case study for this. Their before picture is something we've all seen, right? Tech and business in separate corners, huge barriers between them, and development that moved at a snail's pace. The after, it was a total game changer. By creating these mixed, integrated teams, suddenly they had instant feedback. They could change course in a day, not a year. They started innovating faster than they ever dreamed they could.
But you know, none of this works without the final, most important piece of the puzzle, the right kind of leadership. This isn't just about new org charts or processes. It's about leaders themselves fundamentally changing their own mindset to meet this new reality.
So what exactly does it mean to be an AI-savvy leader? Pay close attention here because this is probably the most important definition we'll cover. It has nothing to do with learning to code. Let me say that again. It's not about becoming a programmer. It's about having a solid, practical understanding of what AI is good at, and maybe even more importantly, what it's not good at. It's a leadership skill, a human skill, that lets you guide your team effectively. Let's just break that down to make it super clear. What do you need? A basic understanding of the tech, the vision to connect it to your company's mission, and a mindset that puts people first. What don't you need? You don't need to be a professional coder, you don't need a PhD in machine learning, and you definitely don't need to be building the algorithms yourself. This is about leading humans, not programming machines.
So we'll leave you with this one big question to think about. In this new age of AI, as this incredible technology becomes part of everything we do, what's really your greatest advantage? Is it the tech itself, or is it your humanity? Your team's ability to connect, to create, and to work together in a way no algorithm ever could?